everyone, I'm here at Art Walk today. Watch me set up my booth and sell some art.
A successful event always starts with a functional canopy tent. Don't waste your time with the cheap ones that break easily. As you can see, I can set this one up by lifting it onto one foot and then pulling from the opposite corner. I can also push it up from a center point and lock it into place. While my canopy is lowered, I also set up the lights and cords. This bar light is 4,000 lumens and fills my entire tent with light at any time of night. It's an eco light that uses low electricity and gives off minimal heat. I have it attached to a metal bar that I found that had holes in it and allows me to use these reusable zip ties to hold on to attach it to the canopy. You'll see me using them throughout this video. I also have my 25-foot extension cord and an additional light for painting. Now, I'm setting this up on the corners so I can paint, but I want to make sure my electrical cords are all nicely put together, and I zip tie them to the canopy so they're out of the way. I don't want to wrap them around the metal poles because it's not safe for fire safety. This particular clamp light that I have has 3 prongs on the plug, so I want to make sure that some of my extensions offer 3 prongs as well, and not just the 2-hole plugs found commonly on cheaper extension cords. Now I'm going to zip tie this one up as well. I want to make sure it's out of the rain and weather if anything were to happen. This additional extension cord will run out to my other 2 lights. It's good to practice this at home to make sure that you know your light setup in advance before you have an event. One way that I display my paintings in my booth is with old closet racks. I hang them up and line them on the edge of the rack and then zip tie them into place. Now I make sure that they're even tied together because I don't want them to swing. And this is my current setup so far before I lift up my booth. I power these lights with my battery pack that allows me to go anywhere and everywhere and keep my lights powered for many hours. After I lift up the tent, it is time to add the weights. While these are sold as sandbags, I definitely recommend rocks, preferably river rocks because they won't break and disintegrate over time. However, you can use an edging for a garden as well. Those are very cheap. I prefer these bags because they can be attached to a table or a grid wall in time of emergencies. I also like to take the string from the top of the canopy and run it through, as well as tie it off with 2 slip knots around the pole. In case of inclement weather, you never know what's going to happen and you don't want to find out when it does. I originally started selling my art on a single table, but now I use it for very specific things within my art booth. If you use a table and find it hard to set up by yourself, use this trick by sticking your foot underneath the bottom of the table and then kicking it up into position. Every little bit of detail matters in making your booth stand out and pop, including a colorful tablecloth to put over your table. It also helps hide storage boxes and art underneath the table when you're vending. My least favorite things to transport are paintings, and I only bring them out for big events. I put an easel in the back corner near my chair with a larger painting to fill in the empty space. I also zip tie it to the easel as well as to the tent in case of any wind. If you have any hangable art, a clothing rack can be very useful. I also make sure that it is locked in place and zip tied to the tent so it doesn't roll away. One of my unique products are painted skateboards that don't quite fit in other places. So I found that I could hang them up on the ends of my clothing rack. They have a hanging wire on the back, so just like any other painting that's long and thin, you could use this to do the same. And of course, I have crochet tops as well as other crochet wearable items. And I like the clothing rack so that people can look through them. I found these satin fabric hangers at the thrift store that give it a nice little upgrade. This large print stand has been a lifesaver, allowing me to display my extra prints. Now, my main feature is my grid wall. It is a type of retail furniture that they have in stores to hang up merchandise, and I use mine all the time. It is a vertical way to display a lot of art, and it is a great way to sell to customers because they can see everything all at once. I bought mine on Facebook Marketplace from a business that was upgrading. While you can get hardware to hold each of the pieces together, I like to use my zip ties. They last a long time, but they do break. Now, the Gridwall uses these hangers that loop under the bar and then sit against the Gridwall. Prongs can be placed wherever you like them in order to customize your use of the wall. I love to be able to change depending on which size prints I have or what other products I'm selling. Now, this is one of my Giclée prints, and I always use tape on the back in order to keep it attached because it's windy sometimes and you never know when they're going to go flying. The more tape, the better. Each of my prints is placed with a foam board behind them inside of a plastic wrap in order to make them nice and sturdy for display. That way I can sit them on the grid wall without any issues and no damage. After everything's complete, this is what the grid wall looks like. You almost can't even see it. Like I said earlier, I have too much art and I need a place to put the rest of them on display. That's where the print stand comes in to collect all my extra prints. I have an A-frame chalkboard for signage, probably in need of an upgrade, but it works. A little table for painting and an easel with extended legs. Now, I like to put one leg out and set the two smaller legs on the table when I'm working on a small piece because the extra legs can sometimes get in the way. Now, I have this container that I got at Joann Fabrics for organizing my stickers. This wire basket works on my grid wall when I'm using a smaller setup, and I put my mini prints inside so people can flip through them easily. I put my stickers in a laminated set so they're on display and everyone can see. I don't want them flying away in the wind because that used to happen. I tape down each of my sticker displays so that they stay there and everyone can see them. And I also have this QR code sheet that has my Venmo, Cash App, and other forms of payment. Now, I do some scrunchies, and my friend found me this at a thrift store. It works a lot better than the ones I found on Amazon, and this as well for my earrings. Now, I have these fans, and I usually zip tie them to the front of my booth, but I wanted to switch some things around. So I put them on the table so people could pick them up and play with them. Now, this is my table so far, and there's more to do. I have a collection of small 10 by 10 paintings that I hang up on the closet rack. Each of my paintings have a hanging wire affixed to the back, which allow me to zip tie them to the closet rack. Now, it's important for me to have art hanging everywhere. People come from different angles, and you never know what's going to catch their eye. So you want to make sure that art is everywhere, from the front to the back, side to side, and all around. It can take a while to build up a collection of art this big, but don't give up and just keep creating. And hanging art, like I said, from the front, I've got this puppy who attracts in a lot of attention, so I want it to be front and center. We're getting close to finished and the market is about to start. Now I have a couple more things that I throw on my table, including some beaded crafts. These are hair clips. I keep them attached to this twist tie so they're easy to lay out and display in other ways when I'm not in my full 10 by 10 tent. I also have these screen catchers that I like to hang up underneath the paintings to fill in that space. At this point, I've probably used about 50 zip ties throughout this day, and there are some fans of my work rolling through. It's important to stay friendly and make friends along the way so people keep coming back and love to see what you're up to next. These hanging treasures catch a little light glistening in the sun and attract people's eyes. Now we can take a final look through to see how the booth looks when it's all put together. It's important to always check in and see what other people are doing to get new ideas and upgrade your practice. And remember, everything looks different at night. So make sure you tested it in both the day and the nighttime vibes. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to like and subscribe for more of my content and see what's next.